Hi, everybody. Okay, so Greg's summary was awesome, as we're used to receiving from updates from him, especially in terms of the military, which I find fascinating. He reviewed the war going on right here. The other interesting thing, though, and he touched on this, is the new connections that have been established through the BRICS countries. So if you remember, BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They've just added 6 more countries, including Saudi Arabia, Iran. Iran was supporting this attack, right? Saudi Arabia, they are telling Israel that they provoked this attack. So that's interesting. Also, as Greg mentioned, you've got Egypt, United Arab Emirates, and Ethiopia that were also brought in, which then connects the trade from Russia through China, through the Middle East, from Egypt down to Ethiopia, down to South Africa. So it's just this land bridge now. And then China, as he was saying, has united Iran and Saudi Arabia through peace negotiations. And they weren't on speaking terms for the last 7 years. Now they are. Now the attack happens. Also, this is right before the Biden administration was trying to negotiate peace deals between Saudi Arabia and Israel. If that had happened, that would have put a glitch in that in the other BRICS relationships. So then this happens. I don't think it's an accident. Here's the thing, and Greg mentioned this also, but I'm going to highlight: war is inflationary, but it's also natural resource intensive, right? So how do you fuel airplanes? How do you fuel tanks? How do you fuel supply chains? You need oil. Who's producing the oil? The countries in the BRICS, right? So we do expect inflation is going to happen just because of this, much less everything else that's happened in the world. But now you've added this conflict that's also set in the Middle East, which is the world's largest producer of oil. So we expect that to be going up. The other thing that I want to mention, last week I was listening to this podcast and they were going through statistics with central banks around the world. Ever since the United States weaponized the dollar against Russia and froze their US dollars, central banks around the world, even though those friendly to us, have been exchanging US dollars for gold. So central banks around the world have the largest holding of gold ever. And when we saw the prices drop in the last couple weeks, that's what last week's video was about. The central banks didn't just sell all the gold, right? They started buying more, as a lot of you did. So it's interesting. We don't know what's going on necessarily in the minds of all the big players, but it seems like they were starting to get prepared for this, or at least prepared for some kind of disaster or black swan. Now, is this the big black swan that is going to change everything? We don't know. Is it going to escalate an already tense world? Yeah, it is. And 50 years ago, the Yom Kippur War lasted 6 days. We don't expect that to be the case this time. Greg mentioned the Jewish holiday that expects the next year to be reflective of that event. So we're probably looking at a long drawn out war. And with that, the strategy that we've put up is, we believe, going to do very well. Not because we rejoice in any of this, but we are hedging for a correction in the stock market. Stock markets also typically come down during wartime. So hang tight and stay tuned. Take care.